What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Powerlifter to Bodybuilder. Thank you very much for tuning in. Before I say any more, if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like the video, and if you have any comments, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below and I can answer them in the following video. Okay, so today we are 7 weeks out. It is Sunday today, right? The video you would have seen preceding this clip was my posing from this morning. So Brad has essentially wanted me to start doing some data collection for the peak. So the peak week, which will be obviously the week leading up to the first competition, we want to essentially collect some data to see how I respond essentially to carbs. Okay, so yesterday I took some check-in pictures after 6 low days and a video, and then today I took more check-in pictures after a high day. So I had 6 low days, as I've been doing pretty consistently for the last few weeks. So 6 days at 2350, and then 1 day yesterday at 3380. And yesterday, so on my high day, I pretty much have like 200 extra grams of carbs than I usually do on my low days, as well as a little bit more fat, a little bit more protein. So that increase in carbohydrates is going to essentially fill up my muscle bellies a little bit more and make my muscles pop a little. Okay, and using this information, Brad is going to try to decide how many potential high days I do need and when to actually structure those high days, because in some people they will do something which is like a front load. So front loading essentially is when you periodize carbohydrate intake at the start of the week and then taper off towards the latter end of the week. So say for example, if you're competing on the Saturday, you maybe will load between like Monday to Wednesday, and then you'll drop back down between Thursday to Friday. Okay, and that is essentially front load. So it kind of has a little bit of a benefit that if you do spill over, so if you do have any carbohydrates or water spill into like the extracellular space, which kind of makes the lines and definition a little bit more blurry, that you can kind of manage that by, you know, just kind of lowering calories in the following few days, and you can kind of let the spill go away as such, or kind of not affect the look as much, okay? Then the opposite way is going to be the backload. And the backload essentially is when, for the first half of the week, you continue to run your low days, and then for the latter half of the week, you then increase your carbohydrates and you do more kind of high days leading into the show. Now, this is a decent approach in the sense that, you know, you are going to look fuller coming into the actual show day, but you don't have any time to address that spillover. So Brad is probably going to be taking this information that I've kind of given him between the check-ins with the low days and the high days, and seeing, like, you know, how much the actual carbohydrates affect my look. Now, based off the pictures that I, and my own kind of eye, looking at my pictures from yesterday to today, and I'll throw some up on the screen as well, it looks like I fill up a lot in my lower body, and as well across like my top line, so around my kind of chest, my delts, but I seem to kind of fade a little bit of definition through my back. So now, whether that is just, you know, a once-off thing, we do have 7 weeks now to kind of refine that approach, and potentially there could be other weeks where we run a few more high days than just running one. But it does provide some kind of information that, yeah, I certainly look fuller, but maybe I could look a bit tighter through the back. Now, look, we're 7 weeks out, so as I get leaner and leaner, like I still do have a little bit of body fat to lose, that is going to level off as such. So yeah, that's kind of the kind of theory behind using, you know, different kind of peaking approaches. Now, I'm no expert in peaking at all. Like what I just told you there is kind of going off what I've read. I am yet to experience it, okay? And that's kind of one of the reasons I am almost doing this bodybuilding prep. Like in the future, I do want to take on clients who do want to do bodybuilding shows, as well as people who want to do like more photo shoots. They're like, like I would love to have clients who do have those goals, but I need to put myself through that process first before I have a little bit of confidence to actually guide people through that process. It's one thing to read things from a book, but it's a different thing to actually experience it, because, you know, if you are experiencing it, you can understand, like, you know, when things go good, when they go bad, as well as the different types of struggles that people will face during either of those processes, right? So in regards to the actual kind of prep update front, this week has it been slow on the fat loss front? I suppose it has. Like, we're aiming for around 400 grams of fat loss per week, and last week we had about 300. This week we had 250. So, you know, it's been pretty slow, but I would expect it to be slowing down considering how lean I am getting. Now, my average weight at the moment is like 82.9, and we are estimating my stage weight to be around 78.5 to 79. So I do kind of need to speed up a little bit. Now, whether Brad decides to alter the plan or not tomorrow, because tomorrow's my check-in day, remains to be seen. So we could be in for a slight calorie drop, or we could be in for an increase in expenditure. You'll probably have noticed by now, I have not done any cardio, and we're 20 weeks into dieting from next week, or 19 weeks I think, and I haven't had any cardio increase. It's just been steps, and I mentioned that on the last video too. Like, it's just such an easy way to lose body fat, especially when you do have a long timeline. Like, this prep is, up until the first show, it will have been 25 weeks of dieting, which is a long time. That's half a year, you know. So to be able to get away this long by having to actually do additional cardio is a little bit of a win in my eyes. And, you know, I wouldn't necessarily enjoy having to do cardio, but, you know, if needs be, I will obviously do it. And it's very easy for me to do cardio. Like, in this actual villa here, we do have a spin bike, and then in my apartment complex back home, I have a gym on site. So actually going to do cardio is going to be pretty easy if I do need to do it. Although, you know, it is just one of those kind of extra tools that we can play if we need to speed things up a little bit. But, you know, at the end of the day, Brad is the one calling the shots. He's the one with the experienced eye. That's why I have him, so I don't have to make these decisions. Because if it was me making these decisions, I would either be a little bit too easy on myself and be like, we'll just wait and see, or I would throw the kitchen sink in it, and then I just end up losing muscle mass. And that's one thing with bodybuilding, right? And like, you want to be turned up on stage with the appropriate level of muscle mass, fullness and definition. If you go too hard too soon, especially as a natural, you just don't have the ability to kind of hang on to that muscle mass as well as somebody who's assisted. Somebody who's assisted, they can go really, really hard during the preps, and that's kind of why they are typically a little bit shorter as well. An assisted prep could be like 12 to 16 weeks, whereas a natural prep on average is going to be like 25 to 35 weeks, because we just simply can't lose fat and retain muscle mass at the same rate as somebody who's on drugs. So yeah, then outside of like the weight loss this week, things have been all right in terms of the mindset. Like, I've definitely felt this week a little bit more kind of irritable. Just like small things that wouldn't usually get to me irritate me a little bit more, and kind of seeing that I'm a little bit more kind of snappy back to Emma. Even for example, like on Wednesday, like I obviously do all my work online. If I don't have internet, I can't do my work, and if I don't have electricity, I can't even do even more work. And then on Wednesday, the internet and the electricity went for a period, so I couldn't cook any meals, I couldn't do any work, and I had lots of check-ins to do, and I was already kind of out of my routine in a sense, because I had a team meeting with triage in the morning time, so I had to train later in the afternoon. So I was going to use that morning period there to get all my work done. Usually at the moment I'm training in the early morning, in the late morning, and then when I come home I do all my work. But that particular day, I had to essentially do my work in the morning and then train in the afternoon. And I had no internet for the entire morning, and I couldn't get to the gym because Emma was at the gym and she had the car. So I was very, very stressed that day, right? Or like unreasonably stressed. Usually I wouldn't get as stressed, but I suppose like one aspect of prep is that like you can get set off by things so easily. And just the entire day I just felt like on edge. Even when I got to the gym, didn't want to be there because like it was so late getting there, and I was already a little bit more stressed. I was just thinking about like, oh, I've got so much work to do now when I get home, blah blah blah. So yeah, very, very first world problems, but at the same time it is extremely annoying. Then like, you know, I had like one high day this week, one high weigh-in this week, which was kind of unexplained, which I had to go to the dentist. So maybe that like increased my stress that day, who knows. And yeah, one thing I've noticed is like, if I don't get to train in that early morning window or late morning window, that my sessions or my willingness or motivation to do the training session really depletes. So I had that Wednesday day where I was already quite stressed, Friday where I was at the dentist, and I got to the gym later in that evening, and I just didn't want to be there. I just found myself like rushing all my sets and rushing my rests just to get out of there, which is something I need to like watch, because if I'm doing that, I'm not getting the most out of my training sessions. It's likely that I'm going to not be like putting in the performance that I need to make sure that I'm retaining the most amount of muscle as I can. So I just kind of need to watch that and kind of reframe things with myself and work on my stress management practices. I think now I'm noticing that I probably could do it, improving my stress management practices. Like previously, like I'm pretty stoic, I'm pretty agreeable, I'm pretty rational with most things, but I'm finding now as like hunger, low energy, all that kind of stuff starts setting a little bit more, I'm becoming a little bit more rational. So I just need to kind of watch that, especially because we are still like 6 weeks out. I don't want that irrationality to turn over into my work and then I'm getting like snappy at clients or something like that, because that'd just be seriously unprofessional. And at the end of the day, prep is completely my choice. I shouldn't let this be affecting anybody else other than myself. And you know, that's the way you should act with all your personal goals. If your personal goals are seriously affecting other people, you need to kind of reevaluate your kind of process. So yeah, other than that, hunger is pretty decent. No change to calories, no change to like nutrition or anything like that, no change to steps. Sleep has been decent. I'm only here for another week and a half, so I have to still level up my tan game a little bit more. But yeah, we're only in Spain for another week and a half, and then we go back to Ireland, and then it's going to be the Abs Pro weekend, which I'll be working at pretty much the entire weekend. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next week and a half of just kind of not necessarily relaxing here, but you know, spending the last bit of time in the sun. I am getting a little bit sick of it though, because it's so damn hot. Like I'm taking maybe like 3 or 4 showers a day because I'm just sweating all the time. Be good for a water cut, right? But that's pretty much it. Like the weeks have been pretty monotonous as of late, and that is the extent of this week's prep update. So I hope this video was somewhat entertaining. Hopefully you're getting a little bit of a giggle out of some of my struggles. But yeah, it's been too easy so far, and it's going to continue to be so. Right, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll chat to you soon.